Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. You're very welcome to the first of my Facing Fears Facebook Lives, where I will be talking to fearless women who are stepping up and doing scary shit and seeing the results for it. So my first guest is my beautiful friend, Jessica, from Fittsteps Training in Crockwell, now online. So anywhere in the world, basically. And Jessica and I have been friends for quite a few years now. Our sons were in the same class in school together, and I am proud to say that I have been with Jess on her journey in starting her business. And I know on a personal level what it has taken, the grit and tenacity and determination that you have put into getting to where you are now. And I have great admiration for you, and you are truly inspiring. But I would like to, I guess, get some insight into, you know, what it has taken to get to where you are now. And, you know, I think for people, sometimes they look on and they see success and they think, yeah, well, it's all right for you. It's easy. But, you know, it's not. And as I said in my original post, we all have a platform platform 9 3/4 in Harry Potter. We all have a brick wall that we have to run through. So I guess, Jess, I'll start by asking you, what would you say has been your biggest platform 9 3/4 so far?
Apart from this, which is terrifying. Oh, do you know what? I don't think there's one. I think there's many along the way. If you assume that you're only going to meet one brick wall, you're going to be very sorely disappointed, because every time you turn a corner or meet a new milestone or tick another box, you are going to find another. Now, it's very much up to you whether that brick wall is monumental or maybe hurdle sized. But there's a lot of them along the way. For me, the biggest one, I think, was simply believing that I had enough to offer myself. Comparison is, I suppose, like they say, the thief of joy, and also the thief of action a lot of the time. There are so many people who do what I do and do it well. So it was kind of convincing myself that what I had to offer was enough. And that, not only in business, but in life. I think most entrepreneurs, most business women, we tend to be type A personalities. We tend to be perfectionists. We tend to be quite self-critical. And it can be at our own detriment a lot of the time. And there is that whole thing of analysis paralysis. Well, I should do it this way. I should do it this way. But they did this and this worked for them. But you really need to park that and just understand that what you offer will serve your clients, whoever they are. And your clients are the people who will be drawn to you because of your experience, because of your mannerisms, because of what you teach or how you teach it. Or sometimes it's even just the fact that, they get the way you word things. I love, being able to talk to people who are pretty straight up and maybe don't filter the words or the image, or people who are going to tell it like it is, because it is dirty out there. It is messy. It can be nasty.
So do you think, like, for you then, being authentically yourself was a huge part in, like, that you needed to show up and just be you and bring you to the table?
I needed to be okay with bringing me to the table. It's funny. So a real talent of mine has always been compartmentalizing. So I would describe the litany of things that goes on in my brain space as a filing cabinet.
Oh, and I'm smiling because I know this so well. Yeah. So I'm just like, honey, I know that.
Many, we could go into the whole big, long, drawn out. There's been a lot that has happened for me personally, professionally. I have had a lot more knocks than a lot of people will ever see. and a lot of them very personal, very close, involving my children. And as a mother, when something affects you on that fundamental level, you have two choices. You can either fall apart, which is not an option as a mother, or you can learn to file it neatly in the filing cabinet for the time when you have time to have a mental breakdown. I haven't found that time yet. Now would be a great time, but I actually think I have managed to kind of move forward from that.
Yeah.
So really being able to, authentically be me in my business was quite simple for me, because while my business was a personal endeavor, business me is not necessarily me. So it's being able to kind of merge the two, where I give enough of my authentic personal self to my business, so it's very genuine, but that I still have a distance. That was a tough thing, but it was an easy progression for me. The toughest thing for me was to be okay with being authentically me for myself.
Yeah.
Being able to separate the fact that my goals as a woman, as an individual, could actually exist outside of my drive to be a good mother and drive to provide for my children and all of those things, and that was okay. And also that it was okay to drop the ball, because you can't be all things to all people all the time.
When you're facing into something that's really scary, how does that show up for you? I know for me, I make loads of bullshit excuses that I'm like, oh no, I can't do that because X, Y, and Z. And yet that just wouldn't work out that way. So I have found that that's my pattern. I hide behind a myriad. I'm so creative when it comes to making excuses. So how does it show up for you when you're stalling because of fears?
When I'm really good at creating jobs that, take up time. I'm too busy because I have to. I have redone files on files on files. I actually went through and deleted a lot of things. And I'd actually made like 3 or 4 copies of certain files, because obviously I needed something to fill time that was a justified explanation for not moving on to the next project. I can create work where there is none. And I'm really good at busying myself around my kids as well. So I sometimes use them as an excuse.
And how long into, how long do you kind of let it go like that before you sort of go, oh, dingbat, you're just making excuses here for, not doing something that's going to challenge you?
See, I'm actually, I think I move quite quick. I compare it to the way I metabolize food. I think I'm metabolizing things.
Your brain metabolizes quickly as well.
Yeah, because you know what? The hardest part of going out on your own is going out on your own. And the first few times things don't go to plan, it's quite galling. It's very much like a kick in the stomach, and you can't physically feel it. It's that, sickening. And I've had days where I've wanted to throw in the towel, but I am stubborn enough to dig the heels in and say, well, hang on a minute. And I'm pretty good at being creative. So generally I'll wallow in it and ignore it and bury myself in other things for a week or 2. And generally that it gets to that crux point when it's kind of hitting a financial turning point where I'm like, I actually have to do something to make money, to make space to do the next thing, or to make space to, buy new equipment or whatever it is. I'm very good at finding the funds for things when they have to be done. So that can often be my motivation when it comes to business, is just to kind of say, oh, we're getting a little bit, I think I have that danger point when I'm looking at the accounts and things where I go, oh, I like you. And that can often spur me on to do the next thing. Not that money is the motivation, but at the end of the day, if you're running a business, there has to be.
Absolutely. You need to be seeing something at the end of it. And what would you say are your kind of biggest vulnerabilities? You know, you said there that you kind of get a kick in the guts, and like we all do that, but like what's your biggest vulnerability? What's your biggest fear, I guess? You know, because we all, it's like, you know, the fear that nobody will show up, the fear that people won't like me. You know, what do you think is the biggest noise in there when you are up against your platform 9 3/4?
It would be very easy, and it would be a bit of a cop out to say I'm afraid of failing, because failing is different to everybody. I've said it since this lockdown. For me, from a mental health point of view, I cannot go and stand and teach in an empty studio, because that is very much a sign of failure for me, for no one to turn up. But that said, there are days where people don't turn up, you know? And I think more than anything, my biggest insecurity is not being able to say I did as much as I could. Honestly, as much as I could. And, you know, circumstances notwithstanding, if I don't feel like I've really left 100% of me in that, then I'm not okay with the outcome, you know? Even if it's a positive outcome, if something goes really, really well, if I don't feel like I actually gave it my all, I don't really celebrate it. And that's...
And like, what is, when you say giving it your all, like, what is that? Because one of the things that I'm learning is that, you know, sometimes we're working so hard, like I have to do this, and I'm very busy now today, but showing up and doing our best isn't necessarily about the working really hard or the, you know, I think it's more just being present and being there. Well, I think that's what I'm learning.
Well, no, very much so, because I think, you know, anyone who's open to physical premises and who does anything is very physical in the initial stages in terms of the time. We had a conversation about this previously. The thing you invest most in your business in the initial phases is your time. That said, putting 60, 70, 80 hours a week into something, that's not necessarily your best. And that has been a learning curve for sure. So it's not about working myself to the point of collapse. It's about really making sure it is the best quality that I can provide, be it in terms of the headspace I'm in. There's you know, not to go too juju, but, you know, anytime you're
the juju and the woo-woo and the fairies and the... Listen, I would talk the science game, but I'm all about the fairies at the end of the day. So come on, bring it on.
There is an exchange of energy when you work with people. You know, you can't deny that, because when someone walks into your space and expects something from you in return, you're obviously exchanging. Now, you might also be exchanging money for that privilege, but there's an exchange of energy. So for me, if someone comes in to do a class or a session and I'm not in good form, I'd love to say that they don't know, but I'm pretty sure they do, because if my mouth doesn't say it, my face surely does. So it's being able, you know, no more so than being a parent or being a partner or being a friend. You actually have to be in the right place to do that well. And it did take me some time to get into a place where I was really comfortable with the decisions I was making. I was really comfortable with the schedule that I put in place. I was comfortable enough to be able to take a little bit of time back so that I felt more present and I felt more energetically enthused when I was dealing with people. You know, if they're not getting the best of me, then I really am not doing my job. And I could teach 75 classes a week, and I guarantee 73 of them would be crap. But you know, maybe I would make more money, but I wouldn't be giving people the best of me. And that's okay, you know?
And when it comes to, you know, I guess trusting in, you know, what is the worst that can happen? what's your method for sort of, because the worst kind of has happened really right now, and we are in the middle of, to be honest, I don't even really want to talk about the whole Rona situation, because there's enough people talking about it. It's there and it's going on and everybody else is talking about it. So, but we are in what could be a very fearful state of being now. Like, everything is completely different. And actually, one of the things that I'm recognizing is that I've always known, well, I haven't always known, but I have in recent years known that none of us are in control of anything, but the routine that we were in gave us the illusion that we were. And now that routine is gone. So I think it's just that we're seeing things with greater clarity, but it was always there. It was just, there was a mirage, and, we kind of weren't seeing it with greater clarity. So, for you, when you're facing into something that's so unknown, how do you keep the faith and trust that everything will be okay and not fall apart?
Well, I'm going to say I'm lucky because of the things, in particular, my eldest son was knocked down when he was 7.5. I had a 6-week-old baby, and all of a sudden I went from having 3 very happy, healthy little boys to having one very, very seriously ill child, a 6-week-old baby, and a 5-year-old in between, who basically went catatonic and wouldn't talk to anyone. So my beautiful, happy little family, just like that, literally in a split second. The aftermath of that was massive. But what it taught me was that, number one, I'm not in control of anything. Number two, you have to have faith that things happen for a reason, and that things will, you will get through whatever is thrown at you. Okay, so I say I'm lucky having experienced this in the way I am. Would I ever want to do it again or wish it on anyone? God, no. But you have to kind of put it in perspective. Yes, this is removed, and I did have a sorry for myself moment when we were told we had to close, because I've worked really hard. Yeah. And I had that little temper tantrum of, this is mine and you can't take it away from me. But it's stuff at the end of the day. And I think, really the buzzword for 2020 is going to be pivot. We should just get it.
I'm totally over that now. I've seen all the Ross gifts, and we're done with that now. Thank you. Can we move on? Buzzwords just wrecked my head.
You know what? Just you have to kind of have a bit of faith and be a little creative. So people are, and I think it's true. If you have something to offer that is of value, put it out there.
Yeah.
What I offer is of value, because people need to move. People need that physical release. And don't let there be shame about asking for some form of recompense for your service. And I am not, and my clients will tell you this, I do a very, 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 very reasonably priced digital pass that is a token. It's a donation as such. But for my energy, for my time, you have to be okay to say, let me give you this for a little bit in return. And there should be no guilt about that. There are plenty of people who are still working, who are still making a wage, who are more than happy to pay, and people who can't. Yeah. You know what? There is a lot out there for you, and people are going to be reasonable. But be okay with offering what you have. Know that if people want it, they will come and get it. And
exactly.
And own it, because we're not running a charity. We are not here to simply suffer and feel bad and wallow, and let the businesses that we
absolutely. And I think for people in business, and in particular for women, we have to do a lot of work around money blocks anyway. And when you put in all the fear that's coming in now, that can really sort of seep in. And one of the things that I've been looking at is Amazon. They need to hire more staff because they cannot cope with the amount of orders coming in. So people are spending money, and
change what we're spending it on, because obviously,
exactly.
our priorities have shifted. We are at home more. So what do
Listen,
we
I know that I haven't had to put diesel in my car for nearly 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
I buy an electric car and this happens. Like, come on.
So, like, and all of the whatever kids' classes and stuff have finished. So it just goes someplace else. And I think it's still there. It didn't disappear. It's just going to go in different areas for a while. But I just think money is like the tide. It comes in, it goes out, it comes in, it goes out. But it's, it's always there.
And you know what? You shouldn't feel guilty about spending it either. If you have to spend it. If you have a service that is of value to people, offer it. If people want it, they will pay you for it. And if they don't, that is okay.
That's okay. That is okay. It is.
And I think very much as women, it's hard to ask for money. Look, it's hard to ask anyone for money. So we don't like that part. I don't know if that's a feminine thing or if men, if any men out there want to shout and tell me to do something. I'm sure, because it's an uncomfortable conversation, and it is for a lot of us to do with, past traumas or childhood issues or whatever. Yeah. Maybe we just don't feel like we're worth it. But
it's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think a big learning for me as well has been being able to value my time. So we often price based on what the person next to us is pricing, or the ad we saw on Facebook was charging. We don't actually price based on the amount of time we've put in, the amount of time we give to people, the quality that they get, that kind of thing. And that's very difficult, and that's, I think, a fear for 90% of business women, if not more.
Well, Andy, certainly a lot of the clients that I work with who are business owners, this is something that we have to do a lot of work around. So let me ask you this. When is the last time that you really scared the shit out of yourself?
I scared the shit out of myself several times in the last 5 months. I have made some monumentally life-changing decisions, and you know what? Coming into a brand new decade, I just kind of decided hell for leather. If it's not what I want, if I don't like it, if it's not serving me, it's gone. And I've got to put myself in a position where I want to be. And I've done it. And you know what? I mean, for me personally, the sky didn't fall down. And I'm in a really good place. This external situation is completely out of my control. And despite the fact that I've spent the last 4 days in my head going, I'm bored. I sound like a child. It's really bad. I've had to consistently tell myself to walk away from the fridge and put that down. And
in fairness, I think you and the rest of the country. So,
yeah. I personally, I'm in a really good place, and it's because I scared the crap out of myself on half a dozen occasions. I made decisions that went against my stubborn willfulness because in my gut, I really knew they were the right thing.
So anybody out there who is, that the phrase is, if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you. What would be your words of wisdom to people out there who they're scared and they're holding themselves back because they're scared, and maybe they're like me and they're making all the bullshit excuses, but what would be your words to them? Why should they run at their platform 9 3/4 and risk banging their heads off the wall?
Well, they say a scary day is really good for your heart. So, I do genuinely think if you're afraid of something, it's probably because it is of the utmost importance to you. So if something is scary to you, and you may have to break it down into small things, you don't have to eat the whole elephant. So if your end goal is so terrifying right now that you can't face into it, then break it down into smaller pieces that scare you just enough that you can manage them. Because nothing you really want to accomplish is going to happen like that.
Yeah.
3.5 years. 3.5 years open. And look at this now. But
yes.
And it's not where I want it to be. and it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. But I think if I can stay the course, in another 3.5 years, I will be so much closer. The time is going to pass anyway. So,
and I think that's the thing, is that sometimes we're a little bit impatient as well, and especially if it's business or anything like that, nobody goes from 0 to 100 in a really rapid amount of time. So, like you said, I think we need to just get into the habit of it. Get into the habit of scaring yourself regularly, because you start to get used to the feeling. And what used to for me be, oh God, I feel so anxious and my tummy is rumbling, I just kind of go, I'm really excited, because I know I've got so used to challenging myself and doing new things that put me out of my comfort zone, and I know they nearly always have something good on the outside. It mightn't be the result I was looking for, but there's always something to be gained when we push ourselves out of our comfort zone.
100%. Like, so many people now are saying, I'm not comfortable doing FaceTime, even just calls between friends, or I'm not comfortable enough to do a video. Just do the video. Don't even watch it back. Do the video and pop it out. What's the worst that can happen?
And when I started doing videos, that was it. I just like, oh my God, I'm cringing. I can't watch these back. And even now, I rarely do watch them. Like, I really do watch them back, but I don't cringe as much. And sometimes I think that was a bit stupid, and I just go, I'm putting it out anyway. People will either listen to it or they won't.
I don't watch. You may know, if you watch any of my videos, you may know I don't tend to watch them back, and I don't tend to overly script a lot of things either, because I just feel that you might as well just see me for me, because if you're going to work with me, you're going to see me for me anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
My kids see me like this all the time, and they still love me loads.
Oh, well, they kind of have to, but they do. We love you too, Jess. So, we've seen you in all states of being. So, so do you want to give a shout out? So, obviously, your online programs are available to anybody. If anyone is looking to get their arse in gear and move it, where can we contact you?
www.fittsteps, there's 2 T's in fit, training.com. You will find the blog, the ebook, the launch dates for the new programs as well out there. On the Fittsteps Training page, we have all of the online classes. And again, your first class is always free online, because you got to make sure you can see me, hear me, it works for you. So I'm there, and
I'll put your link in the comments anyway, so people can find it there. And it wasn't too scary now, in fairness.
It's just, what, I think the more we talk about the things that scare us, the less they're going to scare us anyway. So well done, Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. Just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Thank you very much, Jess, and thank you very much to those of you who popped on to have a look. I will be doing this again on Saturday, and another good friend of mine, Veronica Lydon, and she is going to be talking about all things, I don't know, scary shit for her. But if you are interested and you'd like to come on and have a chat with me about facing your fears and what has challenged you, I'm looking at the wrong bloody camera. I've been looking at you. Send me a message. I'd love to have you on. We're going to roll with this, because I do think fear is a big thing for people, and it's a big block for people. And this was fun. I really enjoyed this. I want to do more of this. Ooh, the next thing now, I'll want to be on TV. There's been no stuff. And now Facebook Live, and she's off now, and she wants to be presenting on TV. Anyway, thank you everybody, and have a lovely evening, and talk to you soon. And thank you, Jess. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye.